How many of you are familiar with EEPROMs and how to handle EEPROMs and change them and things like that? We've incorporated a different style of programming now, but we still have lots and lots of units out in the field that have EEPROMs that we use for the memory storage, okay? We have a lot of problem with these chips and people ordering them and trying to get the right things because they don't give the right information for the people to order the right stuff for. Some of the things that you need to consider doing, of course, is getting the model and serial of the crane. That's always important information. Which computer system it's using, whether it has an MG400 computer system or a 500 computer system, because the EEPROMs for either or are totally different, okay? And I'll tell you how different. One of them has like 32 legs and the other has like 26 or 28 or something. So they're totally different EEPROMs. So you need to know how to identify which system is which. There's a couple of easy ways to identify a 400 or a 500 computer, okay? Look out the window and tell me if the transducers are located on the boom cylinder or if they're inside the computer enclosure. That is an absolute positive way to identify whether you've got a 400 or a 500 computer. And it's really easy. And you'd be surprised, you get people on the phone and they don't want to answer your questions, they just want the part, you know? And I don't guess on this stuff. You can't guess on this stuff or you're gonna get something that's not gonna work. Number two, you need to get the load chart number for the crane in question, okay? We cannot determine the correct duty chip without it. And all duty chips originally had a label like this on them that has the load chart number, the actual duty chip number, that D510304, that's the duty file number, the program that's used and the version of the program, and the model of the machine, okay? One thing that's really been working for us here lately is on these older units that have the 400 computers, is the guys just take the lid off the computer and stick their camera up there and take a shot of the chips, okay? If they get a shot of the chips that's in that computer, we can positively identify that software and find out really fast what you have to do to upgrade, okay? So if you give us that help, you know, if you're working with Brian, Brian needs that help too, you know, and then he comes and gives us good information and we can scramble through this. Because I'll tell you, at the factory, we only have 2 or 3 people that do this. Myself and Penny and Lori are the only people that do this, and there's a lot of requests to fill. And if we don't have the right information and we keep calling back and forth, it turns into a process that's days and weeks long, doesn't it? Have you had that experience?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you need to remember these little tips about how to identify these systems. Just a few tips for the handling of chips, okay? You need to make sure that you're using the proper tooling for removing and inserting the duty chips, okay? This is a chip puller that's made by OK Industries, and you can buy that right off of the internet. The part number is OK-1, and you can buy that from OK Industries and lots of the different electronic suppliers, okay? Before you remove the chip from the protective box, it's going to come in a little protective box, you need to touch the metal surface of the computer to relieve any static electricity built up in your body that may discharge into the chip. But these chips are pretty hardy, but a good stiff static discharge onto one of these metal legs, and you can scramble the information on it, okay? So you touch the metal surface and relieve the discharge, or wear a wrist bracelet. They have bracelets you can wear for that. Make sure the legs of the chip are straight. You see this sample down here, how this thing is misaligned? Misaligned legs like that are a catastrophe. Because when you put that chip in, you need to make sure that every single leg is in a hole, or you're gonna flatten it. Okay, you're gonna bend the legs on it, possibly break them off or what have you. Okay, so you need to make sure those legs are aligned. I'll tell you what, I have a pair of little square nose, needle nose pliers, just little needle nose. And I can take those and flatten those out with those needle nose and fix them up where they're perfect alignment. So you already know I've smashed a few, right? So let's just talk a little bit about these upgrades. We're talking about these obsolete displays. Remember I showed you the picture of this RCI 500 earlier and told you that, that was not a good display. It was obsoleted early. There's no parts, no support, no nothing for it. If you get one of these out in the field, you're gonna have to replace it because there is no parts for it, okay? Terex made a nice upgrade choice on this to the RCI 510. And there's two kits. There's one kit for the in-dash model, which was like the RT160s and the machines built out here on the East Coast. Those all had a display built into the dash. And then all of the Waverly machines were all on-dash machines. So you can buy either one of those kits, and that will include everything you need to upgrade from the RCI 500 to the RCI 510, okay? And you stock those kits, don't you, Brian?
Yep.
You see, Brian stocks and sells those kits, So here's what you get. It's a really simple upgrade. What you need for Brian is the model and serial of the crane, the load chart number of the crane, and possibly a shot of the duty chips. If you can get that for him, that will really be helpful. What you're gonna get is gonna be a new duty chip and a new program chip, a chip puller, and instructions. See, that's where you get your chip puller right there, just buy a kit. Okay, complete installation guide and new documentation, so you'll get a new manual that has the operation, installation, troubleshooting, and calibration all in one manual. The procedure is you just remove the old display, attach the existing cable, remove the old chips and install two new chips. Start it, clear the operator set alarms, and off you go. It's a really, really simple upgrade. We didn't forget the boom trucks. Early on, Terex come up with a display, called it MG585. And it wasn't real popular because it didn't have much information on it. You see this one right here at the bottom, and you notice that has the bar graph on it, but it doesn't have all of the radius and load information and all that stuff, okay? This was called the MG585. Terex came to us shortly after the introduction of that 585 display, and there was probably, I don't know, less than 1,000 of them in the field, I'd say. And they came to us and they said, you know what? All of our crane operators want more information like you got on the RT display, okay? So we went to work on that. We come up with a new display that has the rated load on it as well as the bar graph. The radius, length, and angle information on it, and the live load, and a setup column that when you set up, it actually shows the setup in writing in this information screen, that big information screen on the bottom. It'll say like main boom, no jib, or something like that to give you the setup. So, of course, right away, that come up with the need for something to upgrade that. So they come up with an upgrade package. Again, it's a simple package. What you need is the model and serial of the crane, the load chart number. You're gonna get a new program chip, chip puller, instruction guide, operation and maintenance guide, right? And all you have to do is remove the old display, install the new program chip, and the unit requires no calibration or setup. You're off and you're running. So that's a good upgrade. I think that one, what's that called, a K450-580, or K585-586, that's what it is. Okay, on ordering HDRs. Originally, our drum rotation indicators were made for RT type cranes with cabs on them. In the latter days, we started doing boom trucks too, you know, and all the boom trucks have the dual consoles on them. So we also needed a way to furnish those parts for people with boom trucks. So actually, we have a couple, 3 different ways of doing this. We can go with single winch machines with, you know, a controller for each winch. We can do dual winches, and we can do dual operator stations. And what you need for a regular system, like an RT with one winch, you would have one kit like this. And you need to be really specific about whether you're running a 12 volt or a 24 volt system, okay? These systems been around a long time. There is no protection in there between 24 and 12 volts. If you plug that into a 24 volt system on a 12 volt, it'll just instantly fry it, okay? For a dual operator station, you need to get an extra indicator and a Y cable of this part number right here. That will give you a dual operator station unit, okay? I get that question quite a bit. That's why I put that in there. I get that question quite a bit. Now, the other item that's getting old really quick is the 400 computers, okay? The MG400 computers, it's time to go away. They're old enough now that they're very difficult to fix. The troubleshooting is pretty long-winded. The parts are extremely scarce. So probably the better plan, rather than out here trying to fix these MG 400 systems, the old 414s and the RCI 500s, they can be upgraded to this new computer package. This is actually, that's a wrong number. This should actually be an 869 computer now. But we developed this package and engineered this computer specifically for Terex, RTs, and cranes to do away with the 400 computer. We allowed this to hook up with the old metal box reeling drum, the rectangular reeling drum, though we don't like to see people use those because they too are obsolete, no longer used, no longer supported. There's no parts for them. So we also have a reeling drum update you can get with that. This system fits right into the Terex system. It comes with the reeling drum harness with a connector on it that'll fit either this rectangular reeling drum or the new retrofit reeling drum. It comes with a harness built into it for the RCI 510. You can wire into the existing swing pot and also the existing power and function kickouts. That's hard wiring that you have to do on it. But this has been a very successful, easy to install unit. Here's some recommendations for success. Okay, you can be successful or you can fail at this too, like everything else. The key thing is to get the proper information on the old system so that we get the right duty files built for it, stuff like that. If at all possible, avoid using the rectangular reeling drum. And here's why. This part has been declared obsolete. At this point, there is neither parts nor service support available, okay? So, I mean, if you keep that rectangular reeling drum, I can't do much for you from my standpoint of tech service because I've never worked with it, okay? That's what that means. The old setup does not maintain cable layers required to measure length and accuracy. one of the things that we incorporated when we came to the 500 computer system, we developed this round reeling drum that keeps the cable in a single layer across the reeling drum. And that maintains the length accuracy that we need to stay within the specs. If you install the new reeling drum, you're gonna have our current production product with full support, okay? You're gonna have an easier setup, easier to maintain, the whole 9 yards. Make sure that you replace the reeling drum guides, because nowadays we don't let the cable just go wherever it wants to. We have a longer guide that sticks out there and lines it up and lets it level wind across the reeling drum, okay? So there's a cable guide kit that comes with it. And you need to follow the instructions in the manual. Now I'll tell you what, we have learned a lot since we started doing these. And lots of people have been wanting to upgrade the old MicroGuard 414 systems. And there's several things on this that hurt. One of them is we cannot import calibrated data. Remember I told you on the old systems, the old 414s, every single crane that came out of the factory had to have a separate calibration, okay? Well, in doing that, the system was calculating the cylinder size and it's calculating moment data. And when we do this import from the 4-chart software to the 5-chart software, we cannot import that data, that calibrated data. So what you wind up doing is changing out this computer. We build you a duty file, and you will wind up either inserting the cylinder size or doing a calibration to get it, and doing a radius moment calibration, okay? It's been very successful at importing all of the jib data and just doing a simple calibration procedure on them. We're getting into the same boat with LinkBelt. Remember I showed you the 434 display for LinkBelt? There is lots of LinkBelts out there that have the MicroGuard 404s and 414s and 434 displays. And a new option for these has been a kit that we engineered that's called a RCI 514, okay? And it looks just like a 510, doesn't it? It looks just like a 510, with the exception, it has LinkBelt style menus. So in order to use this display, you have to press a button and it will walk you through the LinkBelt style menus, okay? We had a customer out in Arizona. He called me and he said, what the hell are you guys doing to me? He said, I don't want a Terex display in my LinkBelt. And I explained this to him and walked him through it on the display, and he finally understood that that's not a Terex display, it's a LinkBelt display now. So we have this display that could be used on certain units, under certain conditions. You can also upgrade LinkBelts to the 534, to the new color display as an upgrade, using this same computer system that I'm about to show you here. See, this computer has its own part number. It has LinkBelt style connectors on it and stuff. And we've been very successful at upgrading the old LinkBelt machines. And Brian, are you stocking those parts, Brian? You're stocking, I mean, Brian is stocking all these parts for you guys out.
Do you guys have those in a vertical display for the in-dash ones?
Yeah, well, the problem comes when you have a horizontal display, you can use the 514. If you have a vertical display, the 534 works best.
Oh, okay.
You know, because you have to manipulate that hole in the dash to make it fit. So, some of the old LinkBelts have a horizontal 434 in them, and we've had some problems retrofitting those, but we've got that all fixed now.
We've got a 434, but it's a vertical.
Yeah.
The screen is old bad, so we can get a 534 that's replacing.
Depending on the model, does it have a 500 computer?
I believe so.
If it has a 500 computer in it, you can upgrade to a 530.
You might be breathing hard.
Yeah. Okay, so, and Brian stopped that stuff for you. The recommendations for success, basically the same thing, you know, get rid of that old reeling drum and get the right information so we can get the right stuff to you, and you can have a happy ending on upgrading that.